I wanted to speak to your question. As we face the fact that our government's on a failed path overall in all three branches of the government, we are still out here voting nearly annually on township people, school boards, city council, county commission, and where we have not revisited the Constitution in our lifetimes, in most cases, we don't ask them the right questions. So that's why I think this grassroots movement that's going on now is, it has to be, it's the only way, and it has to be, we, each of us have to do it. Otherwise, we're not going to get the pressure on soon enough to get the convention happen. And be really impressed with this thought. It's never happened. We're on a fail mode. We can be the folks that save this great American experiment. Keep that in the back of your mind and make that force you to do more with your close friends and neighbors. And I wanted to stick that in because that's so critical. The second thing that we must remember is that, as I think both speakers pointed out, when we come out with an amendment, it still takes 3/4 of the states to pass that. And whether it's a bad amendment or a good amendment, only 7 houses and 6 senates, or the reverse, nationwide, or 13/99ths of the can kill anything that comes out of those conventions. So our work is not done when we take the bombardment that David mentioned from the press, the federal, the folks that don't like what you're doing. It's not over with. We've got to build enough grassroots support to actually get the amendment done, because time is of the essence. And so, esprit de corps, realizing that we've had 200 and some years of gravy train, a wonderful government, worked better than any in the world. Now we get to get our part done. I wanted to recognize our gentleman that put most of our advertising together and is recording this, Mike Wilson. We sure appreciate your help in that. Let's see. There's one other thing we need to do. We need to honor our representative for making his time and coming. Would you care to add a little? Representative Clay, you have the mic.
I guess I invited the apple.
Yeah, we'll close.
We'll get to ask questions for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to answer questions or just speak really loudly since I don't have any microphone. You know, it's really important that we look at this at the state level as well. I just want to speak on term limits again because I really do think this is extremely important. And then also the money influence that happens in politics. It's important that we keep the dollars out of our politics, especially at the local level. And the reason for that is that it gives you direct access to your representative. If representatives who, there's probably about 3,500 households that I need to go to talk to every person who's likely to vote in my district. And the fact that the money is taken out of that process requires people to go to you, to stand on your doorstep and knock on your door. It's up to you to be home. To come and knock on your door and listen to you, to hear what's important to you, to tell you where we stand on issues, and you can ask us those questions directly. When the money comes in, it creates distance. It creates distance between you and me because now it's about television. It's about having the most mailers in the mailbox. So that closeness, always fight against that moneyed influence that seems to corrupt our politics every time and makes it so impersonal. And at the state level, it's important to note that last session there was an attempt to increase the amount of money that can be received by senators and representatives. And what happens is the board goes really green for a minute and everybody's counting. Are there enough votes? Oh, there aren't. I better change to red. And it starts slowly trickling to red until those last 8 or 9 holdouts stand for that doubling of the amount of money that can be put into the politics that should remain extremely local and extremely personal. You should be able to call me. My cell phone number is more than accessible on the internet at jrclays.com. You're more than welcome to always call me. And I will be on your porch if you're in my district every 2 years to talk to you directly, because that's what it takes to win an election when you keep the money out of it. What happens when you put the money back in is that you won't see folks on your porch. Instead, you will just see a bombardment in the airwaves. And I think that's the opposite of what we want in our country. It's a little more difficult for the federal guys, but at least let's keep that most powerful level of government, or at least what should be the most powerful level of government, as local as possible and as personal as possible. So those are my parting comments. But again, I'm happy to stick around and answer questions if anybody has them, or I can answer them up here in front of everybody if you've got questions that you'd like to ask. None? Okay, good.
I have
Oh, all right, shoot.
Have you ever been contacted by the Kansas Association of Counties?
The Kansas Association of Counties does have lobbyists up in Topeka, so yes, we hear from them multiple times during the year. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel that that's an organization that would help support this movement in any way, shape, or form?
They usually stay out of any issue that isn't directly related to legislation that affects the operation of a county. So you usually see them getting involved in very technical legislation. So I would guess no, but I wouldn't automatically assume that. But usually their interest lies in how county commissioners are selected when there's a vacancy or something like that. They might get involved in those kinds of bills. Anything else? All right. Happy to stick around for a bit if anybody has questions they didn't want to announce that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we close, I want you to know that we meet weekly to update and to further study the Constitution and Article 5 here in Salina at 6:30 every Monday. We'll either meet here in the library, or we have been in the past few weeks meeting at Astra Books and Coffee Shop. And I think we will be moving back to the Salina Public Library for those meetings. And we'll continue those meetings at 6:30 until I die of old age, or until we get 34 states to pass this. And please be comfortable knowing we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And you're going to get bombarded. So put on your hard hat and let's get to work. Help me with all of your friends and neighbors and family. Thanks again for all of you turning out tonight.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Part of the reason Mark is so smart, my wife is pretty smart, and we are part of the homeschool legal defense. And we know Michael Ferris personally and have conversations with him. And Mark and his sister Grace have taken constitutional literacy, which everybody should take. Just listen to it while they took it. I learned quite a bit. That's one, and you could, as an organization, you could talk to the people locally just like that and have it at a meeting. And then and Mark was able to take Michael Ferris's last personal constitutional literacy class online, constitutional law online. And then Michael again went over to Alliance Defending Freedom, doing a great job.
That was a year ago, two semesters ago, and that's actually where I got involved in Convention of States. He hounded us all semester long. He's like, you guys should go sign up for Convention of States. if you talk Constitution, then you actually go sign up for Convention of States. It's the only hope. And so I was like, yeah, because I heard some opposition to it. But midway through the semester, I was like, yeah, he's probably right. So I went and signed up, and that's where I got involved. So yeah, common law, it was a great class. Had a big thick book, because we just studied the Supreme Court and the ways they've changed the Constitution. Yeah, absolutely. Just educate yourself. Read the Constitution. I mean, you can sit down and read the Constitution in for me, less than an hour. You can read through the whole thing, and it describes it in detail what happens and what goes on, and then you just read books and read more. Educate yourself. Yeah, I totally agree. But
Then the final thing I finally took a hold of was the 5,000-year leap. There are 27 principles that go through there, how our government was founded and how it operated and where we drifted off. So it gives you the problem and the answer.
just Google 5,000-year leap, Cleon Skousen, the National Constitutional Center writes that. It's a book about this thick, but it is a comprehensive study on the specific details of the principles that we founded on. So I just gave you a tiny glimpse of what the individual principles. He has 27, and he goes into detail with each of them, economically, morally, spiritually, all of those. Yeah, very, very good book if you want to learn those principles.
That's how you educate the public.
Yeah.
And that was called 5,000.
5,000-year leap, Cleon Skousen.
Yeah, it's a very easy read book. It makes sense.
That you can get in mass order too. It's a really easy one to get.
I think there's coffee and a few little goodies over on the counter that it wouldn't hurt if we considered before we go home and get a good night's sleep. And keep in mind that if this is done, you do it. And you're the next, I don't know if I'll say this or not, you're the next George Washington, Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, John Jay. That's where we are. And we got one in our midst that we can almost put that to his name. And I want one more time to thank Mark.
I guess that's it.